Hi everyone, welcome back to another Disney Infinity tutorial. We're continuing on with the Rogue One toy box level, and in my previous clip we showed you how to open these doors within the Citadel, and these Citadels are going to open up as different areas within our story. So we had these pressure pads, and by using the right combination of pads they change the colour walls and they open these various doors. So again, taking my lead from Naughty Dog, what I want to do is I want to try and lead the user down the road of what they've got to do. Now, one of the things we've got to do is, because we can't use the text tool, our game design's got to try and lead that user to that particular point. So we've opened these doors, which are great, but while opening the doors, we get to see these computers. And we know in gameplay we can actually hack these, but these are all dead. Okay, so we realise that they don't work at all, they're completely useless. So what we need to do is, once we've opened the door, we're going to obviously want to investigate what does this lead us to. Yeah. So when we click onto this little item here, it's going to take us down this road to see, right, where does it go from. Now I've taken the idea from this particular stage of the game from Mario. I've managed to play Mario Odyssey, and as I mentioned, I do love playing other games, and I love the way it kept on changing different gameplay mechanics, and that was where this basically came from. So we go across into this part of the hangar, okay, as we walk down, and as we do that, it triggers off a boss fight. Now I'm being pretty calm on memory, so we've got Boba Fett here, which as a boss fight is pretty easy to defeat. I say that though, this particular one took a little longer than normal, wasn't doing too good. So you could have more characters involved here, you could use extra wave effects to make it harder for you, but the idea was to have a boss fight in this particular stage, and each one, I've got one on either side, two different characters to pick. I find the hardest boss fight to do is Darth Maul. I don't know what you guys think, but when you kill your character or whoever you've chosen to attack, it will show you a key. Okay, so it's done here. He's now died, and we've got a key. Now, one thing you'll notice here, I was really restricted on memory, and I haven't got a lot of trees, but the trees that I have used do give you that theme that you're still on Scarif. So it was quite good, the effect that I wanted, even though I've used the very minimum view. So we've now got a key, which is excellent. Yeah, so what we're going to show you here is that once you collect that key, that is now going to turn on those terminals. So we're now going to travel back in our lift, and I wanted to make sure I used these lifts as much as possible. I just didn't want it one entrance. I've created the logic for it, so let's use it to the best that we can. So I'm going to go through all these little elements within this stage. Now once we've come back, we're going to go to the computers, see what happens. Okay, and we look onto here, the computer is now active. Yeah, we can now hack the terminal. If I go to the other terminal, it doesn't work, totally dead. So we can now hack this. Now again, we're short on the text tool, we can't use the text tools, and I'm using all the ones that we create now. I don't actually use my template. I want to show that you can still create this even if you've come in later after the event. But as I hack this computer, right, I'll get it all hacked in if I can do it quickly. Right, it now puts a beacon on to let me know that that terminal has been done. Doesn't tell you that's the case, but using your logic as playing the game, you go, okay, right, we've done that one on, I now need to do the same with the other one. So we're trying to give the user clues on what they have to do without actually having to have the text or the guidance to do it, and that all comes back to working out how can we show that for them. Now a lot of people who do this designs for their kids as well, find that they want to try and guide them through it. I find that kids love doing the talking and doing the whole acting and role playing with the game. So I've played a lot of those Lego games with my daughters, and they never follow the rules, and they love having their conversations. What was the one that I used to play? The Lego Marvel Avengers. My girls used to just spend hours in New York City just driving around and having their own little adventures without even doing any of the levels. Used to drive me mad, but that's what they love to do. They love just having their own little adventures. So leaving it open, I haven't found it to be a problem that the text tool doesn't work. Right, so here we go. I was risking it there. Maybe want to put some extra health after you kill the enemies. I quite like Grievous, he's quite good. Shame we couldn't get him as a character. But again, the object of this particular stage is to try and change it. So we've had the battle next to the hangar, we've now had the two boss fights, and then we get the key. So I'm just showing this whole stage. Now when I get to the final level, I'm going to mix it up again. And that's what happens at it's not just going to be a straightforward you go through and back and forth. I'm going to get it to do like cutscenes to different stages of the game, and that'll come more clear when I show you the end result, and hopefully that'll only be in a few days time now. and we beat this through. And there we go, a good little battle here. Now, this has been released over the bank holiday weekend in the UK, and this should come out on May the 4th. So I'd like to wish everyone a May the 4th be with you. My girls hate this weekend because on the May the 4th I make them watch a Star Wars film. They have no choice in the matter, they have to watch it. And I have to say, after watching the Avengers film recently, it's a tough one to beat. Avengers is becoming one of my favourite series ever, and I'm a Star Wars fan. But I have to say, out of all the recent Star Wars films, I am still loving Rogue One. I think that's one of my favourite films. And I find a lot of people, you either love or hate that one, similar to the latest sets as well. But I love Rogue One, so I think that could be our Star Wars film this weekend. Right, so here we go. So we'll now kill him. I was trying to kill him with a laser weapon like Obi-Wan Kenobi did, but he just wouldn't die. Okay, so we've now killed him, and that releases the next card. So we're now going to go back, and we are now going to collect that key. Okay, this will now allow us to do this to the final computer. So I'm going to show you all these little logic steps and how we put this together. And this bit's the easiest bit. This is probably the most easiest section of the whole key, because it's basically just switching on and off and timing your different routes. The trickiest one was the previous one, getting the colour bricks to appear. So it's a very easy clip, this, but again, the idea of this clip is to show you how to get the flow of the game and how to keep these it going from one stage to the other. So then we go into this computer here. If we break this hack here, so it's a little bit better now. And as we hack into this, okay, it unlocks the Stardust plans. We've got the 2 beacons done, we've done our job. Now, once we collect that, I now want the gameplay to change, so it now teleports us outside the temple. So you'll see here I'm in a little closed area, noticing that I can climb the wall. So I'm guiding the user, again, to make them climb. Yeah, so they'll know, well, where do I have to go here? Again, not telling them where they've got to go. Okay, right, so we've got the temple, we need to carry on climbing. I've hinted to them that I want them to climb up. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to climb this temple. And one of the cool things I love with this Jedi Temple, I've been trying to find a way, how do I get to use this? I need to make sure we have to climb it for a reason. It's purely a climbing section, so I feel that this is my my salute to Mario Odyssey, which, by the way, was the first Mario game I've ever played, and I thought it was amazing. I understand why it got all the Game of the Year awards last year. It was absolutely fantastic. Right, and we'll just climb up here. But you see, I still love playing other games, and I will always keep coming back to Disney Infinity because you still can't do anything else like it. So E3 is still coming around the corner, and I'm still waiting to see what happens with Dreams. So we'll see what goes on here. Now this is where we're climbing up. We've got to climb up to the top, and we've got to transmit the signal. So again, gameplay started. We're now to climbing game. So I've got up here, and you'll see we'll click onto the top, and we've now got the little bridges here. And we look around. You go, all right. We can see some buttons. Okay, let's go and press the button. So walking around. So we're in the top of the town. I love there's a cool wind effect that it does naturally because you're at the top of the Jedi Temple. So we press the button, and we can see a counter appears. So again, I'm leading the user down the line. Always hold on. There's some other buttons here. Let me guess. We've got to press all the buttons. Now again, we can't tell them there's a time limit because you've actually only got 30 seconds to press all 4 buttons. Okay, now I've done this a number of times, but I kept on falling down, and that was the idea. And you'll see there, my counter just reset to 0. So the user's going to start realizing I've got to do all these within a certain time. So we've got to work out how you're going to do it. So I'm just going to shoot these all quickly. So I'm going to shoot them from here, and this is one of the reasons why I use Kanan, so I can use his laser weapon as well. So you've got to shoot all the buttons at the same time to transmit the signal. And depending how hard you want to do it, depends what time limit you've got. So I've got now 10 seconds left to jump across. Okay, and you can see I've done this quite a few times now. And when I shoot that, it says you did it. Now if you're wondering how I did a text tool, there are some set phrases, but that means we've transmitted the signal. And so that's the elements I'm showing you in this clip, and then the next clip we've got coming is how we make sure the signal can be transmitted. Right, let's break that down and let's hope you like this clip. Right, so we're going to start off just where we finished from the previous clip, and that's where we've just done the pressure pads on the system. Now, obviously we haven't put the Jedi Temple on yet, and the reason why I've left that out to the last, because it gets in the way of while we're sorting all our logic up. And when you've got loads of odd things that you have to go through the middle of, it can sometimes make it crash. So I want to leave the big objects till as late as possible. So what we're going to do first here is we're just going to go to our building blocks and put our lights around the edges, because I wasn't sure how dark it was going to be inside the room, and they do light it up quite nicely. So I'm just going to show you here. We're just going to pick in our little blocks and put our lighting effect around the side of this. Now, one of the things I obviously do, you'll see here, and I'll may mention this more than once before the rest of my series clips. If you look on my gauge while I'm doing this, you'll see I've got a little gauge on the side, and you'll see that my memory is almost up to the top. The highest one is actually not to do with system memory, it's the one below that. The one that I've got at the top at the moment is actually the graphics tool. Now, what that basically means is that when you get that to the top, you can't add any more different components. So if you've already used the component already before, you can re-add it again. That was quite a good thing. Well, I always thought it was going to slightly overload it. But if that first gauge, that little tiny one, gets to the top, it means you can't add any more different components. The main one to be worried about is the one that's the second there, which is the actual system memory. Right, so you'll see here we've put these in place, and we've done them over the joins to hide the fact that they're separate boxes. Now, the other thing I wanted to do here is I'm going to go to building set 5, because you can never find these one, but in building set 5 under the unfiltered sections, you've got the incredible settings. And one of the things I wanted to do, when I pull you into this base, I want to attract the user to come round and see the other areas. So I've put in this decoration within the map and only want this one side. So when you enter the Citadel, you are forced to go, oh, what's that? You want to come and have a look at that, which will then show you the button and will then show you the 3 crosses. And hopefully by getting to here, you would have walked over the pressure pads at the same time. So again, the design of here is to try and to attract the user through. But I'm going to chuck this tool because I quite like this one, and it looks like a computer system, so it's quite handy. Right, I'm going to put the Jedi Temple on next, and when I was doing this I tested it all fit in okay, and then for some reason while I was doing my level I went to put the Jedi Temple on top and it wouldn't allow me to put it over the top of this brick. For some reason it stopped it. I tested it all out, which was fine, but when I actually come to do it, when I dropped it over the top, it wouldn't allow me. It was like 3 bricks high, and I'm like, that just ruined everything. I had a proper panic. But what I found is I had to save the file, come back and reload it back up, and then it allowed me to lower it down on top. But I did panic that wasn't going to be the case. But here I'm going to just see, I'm just now lining up the temple, now fits on top of that particular box. So I've got to just double check, you'll see I'm slightly out. Okay. And it doesn't fit exactly, there's a slight little lip on the edge, so I'm just going to move it across, but you'll see here, I just want to try and keep it, so just judge it across on the screen. Now, you'll notice that I put stuff in between these areas, and you'll notice that you can't put stuff in there. I'll explain that a bit later on, but you can actually fit blocks once the temple is in place. So you put the temple in, and then you can build the blocks around it, which is quite handy. Okay, and we've got our logic for our other sections here, but obviously I'm going to move some of those around because this is the area that I'm going to get the user to teleport to, so we have to start climbing the wall. So I can just move that to one side and hide that over here. I don't expect them to be this side of the screen. Right, so that's my Jedi Temple section here, which is going to go in this particular part, and we're going to have at some point going to get them to climb up that particular area on the screen. Right, so what we're going to do now is going to pick another little tool and get these hack computers, these terminals, and I'm going to twist those down. I'm just going to put these either side inside the temple of the screen. So that's my first one, and that's the other one on the side, which is relatively straightforward. Right, I'm also going to go to my gameplay toys and then pick a couple of components. So I'm going to pick 3 things here. I'm going to pick 2 identity cards, so I need 2 of those. I'm just going to put them here to start with because I'm going to move them later for my logic. Yep, and then I want the Death Star plans, which is the main thing that we're trying to collect in the meantime. Okay, so that allows us to put those items there on the screen, and then I'll move those keys to the other side of the map once I've got those items set up. I need an effects tool. This is going to do my beacon. Okay, so I'll put a little beacon here as well. Okay, so we'll put those all on. and I'm going to need a counter, because I need to count how many we've done, because once you've done 2, then the gate's all going to unlock. Okay, I need a logic gate for each of these, which is perfect. Okay, so they're little tools that we're going to do. On those gates here, we're going to say basically when we collect those keys, yeah, when we collect those keys, we are going to unlock. So we're going to do a new logic connection, yeah. When we've broken or collected these, which are going to be base of the parts, we are going to activate our computer, yeah, which is quite nice, yeah, which is handy. Now in here, we're going to have to go to the properties of that and change it. Now we're going to say when that computer is hacked, by the way, we're going to input a signal into this logic gate. Okay, so that now sends a signal into there that we've hacked that computer, and then we're going to do a new election with logic gate. It says, right, on output, can we increase our counter? So can we increment our counter by 1? So we know we've done one of the computers. Yep. And obviously when we set that counter to 2, we are then going to unlock the other key. Now another thing we're going to do here is we're going to say, right, if that's also we've done that computer, we're going to do a new logic connection on output. Yeah, can we deactivate the computer? I don't want you to do the computer again, because if you did it twice, what's going to happen there is that you'll just don't have to do 2 keys. So I have to make sure I switch that item off. Yeah, that was quite key on there. If you didn't do it, otherwise it's going to be a bit of an issue. So what I'm also going to look here is for a locator, because this is where I'm going to have the beacon highlight on the screen. So I'm just going to put the beacon just here at the moment. I need one of these each. And you'll see with the Jedi Temple does slightly get in the way when we're trying to do this. So we've turned the computer on, we've increased the counter, and then we switch the actual counter off. So we're going to do another question on output. Can we start an effect? So can we play and play loop? And the thing I go down to here is it was looking for type of different lights, and there was light beams, and if we go into light beams, there's a beacon. Yeah, and on that beacon there, I'm then going to do a new locator connection and connect it to that locator. And that gives you that siren that it comes on. So it's not many logic gates, but there, again, you can see the reason for that there. So I'll slide that in there, and that goes there on the bot, and that will then light up to say that one's done on the screen. So we now do exactly the same on the other side. So we've got all the items on here on the screen. So basically, when we collect that token, we're going to activate that terminal. So new logic connection. When that is collected, we're going to activate that terminal. When we hack that terminal, we are going to send a signal into that logic gate. So we're going to place terminal hacked. Can we now insert a signal into that logic gate? That'll go, thank you very much. So can we input into there? Now on output of that logic gate, so new logic connection on output, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to increase our counter. So can we increment that by 1, so we know how many terminals have we hacked? Also, that when you've on the output from there, so new logic connection on output, can we have the beacon effect come on? So can you play light beam? Okay, and that light beam we're going to put on there, and that light beam is going to be connected to that locator. So new locator connection. Alright, and then I'm just going to position that onto the light. So I'm going to just position that over the top of it. So let's just move that. Okay. The other one last thing we need to do is deactivate the jigsaw on there. I'm going to go new logic connection on output. You're going to then need to deactivate that setting. So can we deactivate it? So, and again, the reason for that is they just hack it again and it'll unlock it twice, which you don't want to do. Now what we're going to go here is if we then say new logic connection when target is reached, can we now display the plans? So can we reset it, which will now show you that item on the screen. So all we need to do now is make sure that we've got our counter, which is set to 2, which is great. We don't have to show it's visible, we just presume it is. The beacon's going to come on, so I'm not going to show that on the screen, but that will now set those items up on the screen, which is quite handy. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to move my little tokens now to the different places where we're going to collect them with the boss fights. So I'm now going to move those all the way across. And we'll place that in the middle of the doorway in there, and you'll see I forgot to put some stairs in here, but I add those later. I forgot to put some doors in there. You'll see them just suddenly miraculously appear. Right, I'll do the same on the other side. Whoops, I need to take the other one with me. So grab that one, pick that up, and then move that to the other boss fight that we're going to have. And that really is quite true. All we've got to do now is make sure that we hide these triggers. So it's not these triggers, so we have to hide these objects when we enter the room. So we're going to show you how to do that so they're not switched on from the word go, because the default view for these are to be on visible show, but we only want them to be visible once we've defeated the bosses and once we've unhacked the two computers. Right, now there's one more little tool we're going to use. Where we're going to go to, not checkpoint, is the teleporter. Okay, the teleporter we're going to stick here, which makes a nice little humming noise, by the way, which is quite a cool effect. But I'm just going to place that here on the screen. You can't access it because the user will never see it. It's hidden out of the way. But what we want to do is I want to teleport the user here to get them to start climbing the building. Yeah. So again, I don't want them to go around and see all my logic, so I'm just going to put a couple of walls in there to trick them, and hopefully they'll lead the way. Oh, we can climb up here. So what we're going to say here is, on this thing here, when we collect this, so new logic connection, on collected, yeah, what we're going to do here is we're going to jump over to this particular part, and we are going to teleport to that particular setting. And that will jump us to this screen here. So that will then take us to this screen, which the user is now going to climb up. Okay. So we'll hopefully do all this. And then we're just going to build it. So we now need some terrain tools. I believe that's what I'm going to now. Yep. And then I'm just going to block this in. So again, just put that there on the side. And I've also got to change it to fit the same colour technique as well. So I might as well set the theme for that one. So that's what I want them to climb up. So that's what they'll do on the screen. So let's just change the format so that matches the rest of the building. And when you do your building, you'll notice when we did the gameplay, this block doesn't really look suited, but when you're down level with the game, you don't realise it's just a block standing out. I always get really fussy that it has to be absolutely perfect, but then you realise that when you're playing it, you don't see it from that view, and that's one of the reasons why, even though I don't have enough trees around each section, just enough still sets the scene. You're not running off the edge. I don't want you to run outside the edge there. I just want you to get from that screen. So it's another quite little cool tool. Right, you'll see here I've gone to my platforming tools, filter down for platforming, and we have these little shapes here. Now, depending on the Jedi Temple, I found sometimes the lip was over the edge, so I've created a little panel here just in case they went round the side and they could climb up. But on this particular side, it's the lip is on the other side of the screen. But again, I was just trying to pick the tools here to create a climbing segment and lead them down this particular way. Again, just try to make it a little different, make it a little jump. I'm going to have to look at a little more platforming, because like I've already mentioned already at the beginning of this, I've never been a Mario fan. I never wanted to play Mario, and someone introduced me to it, and I have to say, I got it. I now get how good it was, and it's one of those things that don't appeal to you, but it's one of the things it's very addictive, and it was. I absolutely loved Mario Odyssey, and I didn't think I would. It wasn't the type of game that I thought I was looking for. So I was trying here to incorporate, let's do some climbing, let's do some jumping sections here on the screen. So we've now guided them from here on, so we can now go up the level, and we're going to guide them up the building. But yeah, I have to say, if you ever play Mario, you will be impressed with it. And it's one of those things you can put down and come back at any stage. It doesn't matter. You're not having to follow the whole story or miss out what you've done, and the controls are really simple. Right, so we've now got our building section working, which is all good, and you can see here the user can climb up if they want to. They can jump across as well if they want to go up here. So I've given the option to them to climb up, and then they can go around on the screen. So that all works perfectly. which I'm quite happy with. And now we can climb up this particular section, and it will guide them through there on the system. Right, so now that we've got that done, what we must not forget to do is that we must switch off the actual collectibles. So they have to unlock them. So one of the things we're going to do is we're going to go all the way back up and get a trigger area. Okay. Now the things with trigger areas is, and this is, you'll notice I use my logic gates a lot in a lot of my previous clips. If you've seen it in my previous clips you've done, this trigger area is going to, when we come off the lift, right, it's going to make sure we hide those objects. Straight away does that and hides the objects of the screen. So when we go into this particular level here, yeah, it's going to press that and it's going to change the game. So as soon as we walk through, now the difference is if they walk back into that area, we don't want it to reset those components every time after we've just unlocked it. So in this case here, we need 2 logic gates, so we can then lock the thing down. So the logic gate here, we have 2 set inside. Yeah, one sends a signal through, and then one switches the item off. So in this case, when we enter this area, so new logic connection, when entered by any player, and we do a player, not AI, we're going to send the signal into this logic gate. Okay, and the default view for logic gates are always open, so we don't have to worry about that. So that'll send the signal into here. So new logic connection, on output, can we send the signal into this logic gate? Now we can go back and close the previous one. So in this case we can then say, right, new logic connection, on output, yeah, can we close that gate? Which means if you should enter that area again, the signal will not come back through, it will be blocked. So now we can do the one signal says on output, can we now make sure that button is deactivated, because the default view is to be open. Yeah, that was quite handy. At the same time here is we can say new logic connection on output, can we hide those items? So we hide it, which doesn't count, by the way, as a broken or collect, which is quite nice. Now I moved these too soon, which I wish I hadn't done, but it's too late, I've done it. So on output and here I'm going to move this all the way. You'll see, oh, numpty, I've done all these, so I'm going to switch. That's the point, I'm switching off these terminals. Nearly forgot about that. Yeah, so we switch those terminals off. So new logic connection, do the same again, on output. I'm going to switch those terminals off, so switch them all off so they're not available. So we're going to deactivate those. And I'm going to make the security cards issue as well. And we'll go all the way across the far side. And it doesn't take that long. Okay, so we're going to hide those ones, and then the same on the other side. So new logic connection again, on output. Go to the other side this time, and we're going to hide that one. Now if you've got a flying character, it's pretty much going to defeat the object. So the idea, I could probably switch it so we don't have any flying characters on here. But I'm going to leave that to you. That'll be how you want to do your gameplay. Right, so we've now got that setup done, and we're now linked to the screen. Now in a moment I'm going to show you how we then just built the framework for our Citadel. But we'll cover that one in a moment. Cool. Now just quickly show you a little mistake here. One thing I forgot to do was change the settings of the terminals. So just pretend this never happened, but what we should have done is at each of these terminals, you need to go into each of these terminals here, you then need to go down to properties, and you then need to change that so that anyone can unlock it, otherwise only tech characters can do it. So you need to change that setting off. So if you find you can't unlock it, they forgot this little component, which I did as well. But it never happened, so it flows quite nicely. So you saw briefly there that I actually had built it. So I'm going to take away the surprise now. Ta-da! We've now built the Citadel. Now you're going to say, like, Simon, you've cheated, not showing how to do it. It is just a number of building blocks, but the art is how can you get to do it. Now you can't add the building blocks first. What you have to do is you have to put the Jedi Temple in, which we've just done. Then you have to add the satellite dish. The satellite dish has to go second, and you'll notice you can only put that so close. So try and get it as close as you can get it to the top, which leaves an exact gap. After I've done that, you can then, strangely enough, add bricks afterwards, but you can't do the bricks and then add the satellite dish. It won't allow you to do it, which is quite handy. And you'll notice here, by the way, the perfect distance between the two, which is why we did the 7 blocks way back in February when I released clip 1. Now you'll also notice there I've put little panels from the Wreck-It Ralph set to give you little platforms out, and again they couldn't go right close to things, so I've got them as close as I could. And these bricks just go up and build them on the side. So that's roughly all I did for that. It really wasn't that complicated, so I'm going to let you do it. Give me your feedback if you found it easy to stack them together, but that's roughly all we're going to do on here. Now if you look on my map here, you'll see here my memory for graphics is at its max. At this point, by the way, I still haven't done the Star Destroyers colliding, so it was panicking slightly, it wasn't going to work. So you'll notice here I'm going to have to remove certain elements here, because I had certain containers here that was again taking too much space up, so I had to clear that down. But even so, the little bit of vegetation still was just enough to give you the item that you were on the map. So I was still quite pleased, but even though I've got it to the bare minimum, it still gives you that same cool effect. You still can see through the other item, it still looks like another part of the islands. So that worked quite well. So what we're going to focus on now is the boss fights, and these boss fights that will unlock the keys. Okay, so hopefully making sure we can get this to work. So I have to say, it was very tense building this, because it was like, have I gone too far? And then also because I started building this and showing you right from the beginning, which was then really panicking, thinking I've messed up here, but luckily it's all come through. So what we're going to do now is we are going to go to our tools, and we're going to go and find our boss generator. So we'll get to our boss fight tool. And you'll see here by removing the components, the graphical memory cards come down a bit. So we're just going to stick this in, and we're going to place that in the middle of the map. So he's going to come in and peer bang in. So straight away see that we've got to fight him. We've got enough space here to do that. Right, and the thing we're going to have to do is that how do we get that to generate on the screen? How do we get that to attack us? Right, that's the key thing. So what you do is once you put the boss generator in, what we then need to do with it is we need to choose what boss we want to use here from the screen. So when you go to the settings on here, you have to go to the properties of it, and then you choose which one of the boss enemies that you want to use. Now I don't know if time is going to exist on new people that are to this, because you've got a number of different boss characters on here, but time is a character that was added afterwards, and with the server updates I don't know if you can still get hold of him, but he was quite a good one. So I was trying to pick out which ones I was going to use, and then I picked Boba Fett and Grievous on these two options. So someone telling me the ghost ship's not available anymore, that's a bit of a shame. But if you are new to Disney Infinity, or you wish that you got hold of it, it's getting very hard to get hold of these things. I think the software's still available on a few things, but like I mentioned in my previous clip, check out the Disney Infinity Collectors Club, the website. I put a link on my previous one, and I'll put a link on this page. Eric, my mate, he's doing a competition, chucking away a whole box set of characters. Now, although it's for the PS4 that he's doing it for, the pads will work on any Xbox or Wii unit, so it's not too bad. So have a look at that and see if you can do all his competition that he's trying to do. Anything that's free giveaway, it's always worth having a look at. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we're going to do a new logic connection. When we defeat the boss, we want to reset the token. So I did that last logic there. When you defeat the character, I would like you then to reset that key. Alright, and we need to do the exact same on the other side. Yeah, so that section's now done on that part. The only difference is we need to trigger, like I was talking as I got slightly sidetracked, we need to trigger that we've done the item. So if I chuck this in here, when we walk into this area, right, we need to activate that memory. So it's just straightforward trigger area. Now again, same thing applies with the previous one. We don't want to keep walking into the trigger area setting off the boss fight each time. Yeah, we don't want to keep going, oh, every time I go back to lift, the boss fight character reappears again. So we need two logic gates. Okay, one to send the signal through, the second logic gate to close the gate so you can't do it again. So two logic gates again, they come in two pairs. I say the logic gate thing was just genius design. and some people ask how to get them, but they basically just stop signals going back and forth. Yeah, it's like an electric circuit that we're making. So in this case here, you go into this item, and then once you've entered into there, on output by any player, input a signal into this gate, and when we input into there, that then inputs signal into the other gate, and the other gate then locks it, so we can't do it, and then we send that signal across to activate the enemy. So we're going in here, new logic connection, on output, close the one that gave us the call, which means we can't fire the same signal through again. And then the last thing we need to do is new logic connection. Once the signal comes out on output again from this one, can we activate the boss fight? So can we then say, right, can we turn that on? Now if you haven't set the setting that it was Boba Fett we wanted to, he wouldn't appear on the screen. And now I can just hide those logic out of the way. And I have to do the exact same now on the opposite side with Grievous, which is all straightforward. So if I place those out of the way, I've got that boss fight set up and done, so that works. I can now go to the other side of the map and do exactly the same with Grievous and set that up. And again, I've got to set the same trigger up. So just to recap on all those elements again, let's go to this side, and you'll see I had some various objects, but I'm going to have to delete that out of the way. So I'll delete that option, and then we put that setting in. So there's nothing really complicated. It's just planning out what part that you need to do, what section you want, and making sure that we can see what turns and switch up various settings on and off. So we'll put a little boss fight down here. That object's in the way. I think I move it around in a minute. I was trying to keep certain things in there to make it look different, like a hangar field, but it just didn't work. Just gobbling up the memory, so I couldn't do it. But I'll change that in a moment. Okay, so I've put the extra boss fight into this setting here. So if we go to this one and we go to the properties of it, we can then choose Grievous in this setting. So go and choose our enemy. So I'm going to pick General Grievous in this particular case. Alright, so that's that one done. What we're going to do now is I need a trigger area that's going to set this off. But also I'm going to say is when we defeat Grievous, so when we defeat him, and then again I have to pick Grievous again for some strange reason, I then have to go down this list, and I'm going to say, right, in this case here now, can we reset? Yeah, simple as that. That's now reset that particular key. And then we get our two logic gates again, and our trigger area. So I put the little trigger area in there. So does anyone do anything on May the 4th? Just let me know as well. If do you have a ritual? You watch a film? Is there any films that you tend to watch? Do you make any of your family have to watch a certain time? Crazy ritual I like to do, but every May the 4th I tend to watch a Star Wars film, which is quite good. Right, so logic again appears. Getting sidetracked again, so apologies for that. Here we go into this section. Do output. Right, those all set up. It's cool. Got to close it, which is all cool. So on here, set the option, cool, and that will then say on output, can we start this option? And there we go. Now I'm just going to delete that thing out of the way, move those to one place, get rid of the box, and have that set up on our frame. All we've got to do now is how do we transmit the signal once we've got our satellite dish working. So I'll show you how to do that part of logic, and then we will be ready to go. Our two boss fights are complete. Brilliant. So this is the final stage actually to the level. So theoretically, after we've destroyed the dish, we can transmit the signal. So what we're going to do here is we're going to need a counter for the 4 buttons we have to press. So I go back to my creativity toys and get my counter here at the top of the screen. So I'm going to pick my little counter options, wherever it is, so I can still never find them. Now as we'll put this on, right. So I'm just going to put these in. Now, as you're never going to get able to climb up the top here, I'm just going to stick these right at the top of the dish, just out of the way here. So these are my counters. Okay, and so there's the last few minutes left to this one. So there's my counter, and that's going to tell me how many we've done on our screen. Now, what we need also is we need a couple of other little logic sections, and one of those we want a little time delay, right? Because you've got 30 seconds or however time you want to set to get your all items to 4. So we're going to put this time delay over this side of the screen here. So what we're going to say here is that when this timer reaches, it resets the counter. So while we press the button, we increase it, and if we don't, it gets always get reset again. So that's going to be our key tool that gives us our time limit, and you can change that setting depending on how difficult you want to make it. So again, need a couple of logic gates here just to monitor the signals that we're doing. Yeah, so I'll set these all up. I think I need 2 at the moment. How many of those? I'm just trying to think because I want to make sure that it does reset. Right. So this is our counter tool. So in this property here, we're going to go to our properties of this. Now the first time I did this, I got you doing a celebrity dance and it wasn't too good, so I do change it and show you how to use a text tool. But we're going to set, in this meantime, we're going to set our counter to 4, and we are going to have it visible. Okay, I do want the user to see the counting going across, so that will hint to them that they've got to do various objects. Yeah. Now on this timer here, right, if we then go new logic connection when delay is complete, we are going to reset that. Okay, so that now will reset it, and the user will see that it's gone back to 0, that they have to redo it. Now the clock here will also, on the delay complete, it's going to reopen these 2 logic gates. Now I've just checked these logic gates here because these are going to be our signals, but these logic gates stop the timer for restarting every single time. It lets the timer do its job and then resets it. So what we'll say on delay complete, it's going to open both these gates back up, and I'll explain that in a moment when we do the buttons, but both these gates here are going to open up again when the time is complete. So what I then did was I go and get my little button here, and I was trying to put the button on the platform. So when you get my little button, and you'll notice here I couldn't get the button to fit, so I come down, try and put it on the end of the map, but because it was inside the temple or inside that frame, it wouldn't let me do it. It's like, oh man. But then I thought, stick it in limbo. It wasn't actually that bad. It didn't look too bad. I'm in an hour, do I do a button and that wouldn't work, and that looked odd. So I wasn't too sure on the screen, do I do a floating target? But I actually switched it back around and went, you know what, it wasn't that bad. So I placed the button here, but I hummed and ahed for a while, and I thought, if I take any longer, this clip's never going to get finished, and I'll never get it released, and you'll all hate me. So I thought, nope, I'm going to stick with this button and place it there. And that's how much stress a single button caused me. Yeah? You have no idea how much stressful this level became. Which is one of the reasons why it took some time to do, because it just wasn't working, and I'm thinking I've started this and I'm not going to get able to show to work it. So I then was trying to find, I keep coming back to it, and one thing I find a lot of people do, they start the level, they get lost and they just don't go back to it. Play something else and then go back to it, and you're refreshed again. I had to keep coming back and forth with this. This is why it took so long to get these set of clips finished. Right, so what we're going to do now, after we press these buttons, every time you press it, we're going to increase that counter by 1, and that's simple. That's all we have to do. Yeah. So what we can do here is we're just going to input a signal into that logic gate. Can you input a signal into that logic gate? Every time we do it, input a signal into that logic gate. That logic gate will do the increment, but we'll just do the same one trigger here. So that button there, on input. Yeah, can we input that button? It saves us having to create more connections actually. Otherwise you'd have to create 4 connections to logic gate. So when we press all these buttons here, we'll go through. And this is the reason why we use the logic gate. We just do the one signal into that logic gate, and that logic gate is now going to do 2 things: increment the button and start the timer. So can we input into there, go to the other side, when pressed, and can we input into there? Okay, so that now inputs it. So what we can do there from there is a new logic connection on output. Okay, so when we do the output side here, is we can say, right, go to that counter and increment it by 1. Doesn't matter where the signal comes from, it's going to increment it by 1. Okay, now the issue we've got here, which is great, what we can do here then is, once we've done that option there, we can then move this button back at the side. Okay, what we will do then, so they all now trigger that particular route. Yeah, so every time we press that button, so new logic connection, on output, can we input a signal into this logic gate? When we do that, we can do new logic connection, and what we want to do here is, this is what's going to start the timer. Yeah, so new logic connection, on output, can we start the timer? If we didn't do this, every time you press the button, the timer would restart. Yeah, so it's like, no, don't want that to happen. Yeah, so what we can do is, when delay complete, which is fine, so that's all going good there on the screen, that sends that signal through. Right, so I'm actually going to need another logic gate. Okay, and what that will do is we'll close the gate, so that's going to be new logic connection. You see I got a little bit confused here. So that sends it into there, starts the timer, which is great. If the gate is open, sends it straight through to the timer. So what I can then do here is new logic connection, on output, can you input a signal into that, and just like we did with the trigger areas, we can switch those items off. Now, one thing I've just realized is that I haven't taken into consideration that a user could go up and press that button 4 times without actually having to go each one, so I need to switch those buttons off. Now, I haven't got time to show you that particular logic at the moment, and we're just going to leave that undone, otherwise I never get this clip out. But I would need to use 2 logic gates for each button, that when you press it, you switch it off, switch it on. So I'd need to do that for each one, like the trigger areas. Anyway, I'll come back to that later. I've just added an action enforcer. Right, that action enforcer, that when you complete it, it will do you a party. So I was doing it here, do a celebrate. When we do that, it jumps up in the air and says, yeah, you've done the job. That I find didn't work. That wasn't the effect. So when I reached 4, it sent the signal, so I didn't like that. So I actually reset that setting. So I'm just going to show you now. I did the action enforcer to start with, but this is what I did next. I take the action enforcer off, and I use the set phrase tool instead on our list. So in this list item here, I get rid of the action enforcer, and there is a text tool that has got set phrases already on the screen. And as you'll see, by the way, the graphics memory, and I'll explain that in my next clip, quite important about that, I'll explain how that works. But when you get that message, you can't add any new stuff. So I'm just going to delete the action enforcer off, and I'm going to use this text displayer, which has set phrases in there that you can use. So it has some text that you can get around and still display it. So instead here, when we reach 4, we're going to then display they did it. So when target reached, the game is over, we've done it. Yeah, you'll notice I've not done any replay value. If you want to replay the level, you have to load the whole thing up. There was too many mechanics to reset, so I thought, and it'll take up memory, so I didn't bother with this one. So we'll have gone here to different types of victory messages, and what do you want to say? Victory? Well, it wasn't victory. I was trying to look at what do I, and I think that quite did. Yes, you did it. Okay, you did the job, and you've sorted it out. Now that is it for this particular stage. My next one is officially when 2 Star Destroyers declared. I've done the clip, it's coming tomorrow, and it actually is a very simple effect. So I hope you like this. Remember, tag it if you do like them, and I'll get the clips with you. Cheers guys, may the 4th be with you, and I will see you soon. Cheers.